I just
Good morning.
accessing my email through my phone. Oh, good.
So,
So I'm still.
And-
But the problem is signing out.
okay, it should try again.
I've done this like 8 times.
Next. So,
Memo.
yeah, verified to, and are you getting emailed? Or?
Oh, that's so funny.
I got an initial email from.
I did. And then I left it upstairs.
So it doesn't, it just spins.
To like. I did email IT, but
Yeah.
But of course,
That's dead in the water.
yeah, I'm having to go
Okay.
to this.
That's cool.
Material.
Sure, reader can attend for either part of it. Of the TSG.
I mean,
She's
it
gonna,
should
she's gonna
be
be
split. It's really
And
just-
do they have
because the
anybody else?
question is,
John Miller certainly could. He's one of their lands and housing
Cause
people.
They have
if
it.
you don't have it open, you could.
Okay.
Google authentication.
So, I mean, one of those is an extension request.
She said she would write.
Okay,
And
sounds good. Play with what we have.
If it's kind of set to the file 13.
She put in her failed status.
Or a
I
request
guess she kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, that's changed since the last.
to confirm that, so.
Good morning, everybody. I see that we are recording. Should we be not recording or should we be starting the meeting?
We will be starting the meeting momentarily, I believe. Commissioner Gleason is having some technical difficulties that Jared's trying to work through.
Sure. And Lance, would you rather run the meeting since I'm not there, or since it's just a whatever, I'm happy to do whatever.
You got it, man. Rock on.
Okay, all right. All right, I'm standing by till whenever Galena has her tech figured out. And I see she's got our senior tech person beside her.
I might need to just. In the greater meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Be
I don't know if I'm
in
in-
body and not in digital
Yeah.
form.
And did you catch that? Galena's just gonna be in the greater meeting, but not on the personal Zoom?
That sounds fine.
Yeah.
All right. Is everybody? There we go. Good morning, San Miguel County. This is a special meeting of the San Miguel County Board of Commissioners. Today is Monday, April 28th, and it is shortly after 9:30 a.m. Present in the room are Commissioner Waring and Commissioner Gleason, myself, Commissioner Brown. I am on Zoom. I also see several high-level staff members in the room, and we are grateful to everybody for being here for this special meeting. We will begin now with item number 3, a moment of silence for grounding and gratitude. Thank you. Item number 4 is review of the agenda. Does anybody have any additions, retractions, adjustments of any kind?
No, man.
Okay, looks good. We will move on now to our public comment for items not on the agenda. I will just review quickly the protocols for that. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. If comments are not related to an item on the agenda, there will be no board response or action taken since the topic was not posted with proper notice, and any comment could potentially violate the Colorado Open Meetings Law. I am checking. I don't see anybody on Zoom other than San Miguel County and myself. Am I missing anything?
No.
Okay, so we have then no public comment, closing public comment, and moving on to item number, where are we? 6, administrative matters. And this is an item that I brought up for our discussion
Commissioner Gleason, do you have any thoughts?
I've heard the concerns certainly about being hamstrung by, especially the special districts within our county being hamstrung by Tabor, and that's concerning to me. And certainly the inability to be more flexible with funding because of this law at the state level. On the flip side, I've heard concerns among constituents, realistically, probably a minority constituents in this county, that they feel very strongly about Tabor. Yeah, so I've been kind of just sifting through those opinions and thoughts, and I guess I don't have like a strong. I'd love to hear everyone else in the room's perspective on this because, yeah, I've been listening to concerns on kind of both sides.
Do you want me to go next? Or
Yes.
Jared, do you want to go next? Because you seem to be our resident expert on Colorado tax structure.
Well, I'm happy to speak to a little bit of what I think this proposes. And, again, I think it's an interesting idea. It's pretty much a state legislature saying, hey, because of this item that was added to the Constitution, we can't effectively do our jobs. I'm like getting my popcorn ready because I want to see how this goes, because they've been operating under this for nearly 30 years. So to come after it 30 years later and say this is untenable, they're going to have a pretty big burden to prove that it's untenable. We are in some particular financial straits at the state level that we know. But we as local governments have figured out how to make it work like time and time again. And so I think that that is a really interesting nuance. I don't know that it will change things for local governments. This case will apply to the state legislature and their navigation of the Tabor Amendment. And again, I'm interested to see how that works. I kind of assume that were this case to be successful, a lot of local governments would then proceed with some sort of, question to the courts for themselves to get the similar treatment. I think we as a county have managed our finances effectively. We've been fortunate that the voters have said yes to our county for a number of ballot questions. So I don't think we really have as big of a dog in this fight, other than kind of the philosophical issue. And, I think it's really up to the commissioners sitting here to say, I believe philosophically that we should not be subject to this rule, or, and we want to support it, or wait and see is kind of a, more middle of the road approach. Or to your point, Commissioner Gleason, if we've got a lot of residents who really believe in Tabor, we could say, we aren't going to participate and we aren't going to encourage, because it's the rule of law that was passed by the voters. So.
And the only thing I'd add is when we waited 30 years to get into land use enforcement actions, it's come back to bite us, because why wasn't it a more pressing need back when the violation originally happened? I kind of see these two situations as analogous to Jared's point. Tabor passed in 92. We've had times when we probably would have wanted to raise taxes, and or the legislature would have long before this. It seems to be the crisis of the day. And politically, I think your constituents may be a little bit alarmed, even if you're just supporting this and the legislature's ability to do it, that you're only doing so because you would wish to do it locally. And I think it's been a pretty good check and balance to have to go to the voters for any time you need that tax increase. And to Jared's point, we've done so. Our voters have been generous, but also I think that would be concerning to a lot of people to get rid of that checkpoint. So this to Jared's other point about getting the popcorn, I don't know if I would support or oppose this. I might just take no stance if it were me, because what might be right for the legislature might not be right for us. And I wouldn't want us necessarily perceived on record as we're doing this because we might have some thought down the road of doing it ourselves, which I know we have not.
I'll just chime in also to kind of support what I was saying earlier. Some of the concern I've heard from constituents at the state level is that they're concerned there's going to be this kind of front range funding initiative taken, and that's going to leave Western Slope residents out of the conversation and out of funding voting power. So I heard that.
I'm not sure I understand that. Can you help me out with that? So are they suggesting that if Tabor fails in the courts, then what would happen on the Front Range?
Well, there would be a greater kind of power within to pass funding initiatives without going to the voters. And those might be things that are odds with some of the more like rural values of the state, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Commissioner Gleason, is it to say, like, actively right now, there are more legislators from the Front Range than there are from the balance of the state. And so there's always a concern that the decisions of those legislators on the Front Range may go further than our sensibilities in the remainder of the state.
Thank you. That was an eloquent way of saying what I'm trying to express. Yeah. Once again, this isn't necessarily my personal perspective, but it's just what I've been hearing from constituents.
And I think that there's not a huge appetite to jump into this for all the reasons that Mike and Jared and maybe even Galena mentioned, and I think we should all get some popcorn.
That's fine. I appreciate us just talking it through because it is, it could end up being a pretty big deal. So yeah, let's get the popcorn and I will keep you posted as I learn more and ask everybody else to do the same if any information comes their way. Does that make sense?
Yes,
And thank
Okay.
you for bringing this to all our attention and having this conversation about it. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. It's always helpful to talk things through. Okay, moving on now to item number 7, attorney matters. We plan to go directly into executive session for discussion of the sewer authority for regional wastewater treatment plant with a review of a draft memorandum of understanding for the county, the Alexanders and Mountain Village. And we are doing so according to citation 4B, conference with an attorney, and 4E, determining negotiation strategies. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
so moved.
Second.
How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
I as well. We are now going into executive session. And Carmen, how do you want to handle this? Given that we have no one online, but we are streaming on YouTube, I imagine.
Yes, we will go into.
Breakout.
Breakout room.
Okay, and I should, for any public listening on YouTube, I should mention that we will report out when we are done, but I do not know exactly what time that would be. The meeting is scheduled to conclude at 11 a.m. It could be a bit before, it could be a bit after. And I'm sorry we can't be more precise, but that's the way these things go. And now we will move into executive session.
See the prompt. Oh, yeah.
I didn't say okay.
So,
And I think I'm in the same room as you are, is that true? Doesn't seem like it. And I'm in meeting room 1, are you in meeting room 1?
I don't know if she will hear you.
Well, you
Because
kinda might
the-
do it. So,
I think our microphones are still in this room.
so if I turn on my computer sound, that'd be better?
I think you may.
Okay.